Guys, welcome back to the CasterMuse Star League Season 4 cast with Artosis over on Artosis Cast. Thanks for checking out the channel. Today I am bringing you a Protoss vs. Protoss from the round of 16. This is the Deciders match, and it's between Stork and Ruin, and it's a best of 3. The winner will advance the round of 8, and the loser, of course, goes home. Well, they're already at home, but yeah, they're out of the tournament. So, between these two in a best of 3, let me just get it out there. Stork is favored. Okay, Ruin, I think, is actually a very strong player. He's still up and coming. He's a bit younger. We've seen, like, he actually had a semi-successful career in some StarCraft 2, which he switched over to from StarCraft 1. He's gone back to StarCraft 1 for a long time, and he's done reasonably well. I think he's got some really nice Protoss versus Zerg. His PvP doesn't seem bad at all. His PvT seems good. I mean, I think he's someone that has a lot of room and potential for growth. Stork, of course, I mean, this guy's already kind of done it all. One of the best players of all time. These days, married with a kid, so obviously it can be a little bit harder to keep up your skills, but I would still favor him. He's always been a Protoss vs. Protoss beast. But we'll see how this goes, right? It's polypoid, 4-player map. They're cross spawns right now. Of course, one of the more important things you need to think about in Protoss vs. Protoss is, do you have a ramp? Polypoid, yes. That allows you to do all sorts of different teching builds, whereas if it's a flat ground map, then things get very hairy because of how strong just 3-gate goon can be. Now, 2 gateways immediately made from Ruin. Kind of interesting. Okay. I think we're going to see him pump out 3 Zealots pretty quickly here. See if he can get some damage done. And I've seen this build a decent amount of times. It's not like the most popular thing, but it's definitely something within the metagame. But I think the problem here is that Stork is cross spawns. And you can actually see Ruin going for a cross spawn scout first. And I think that this has directly to do with his opener, right? So he's going to get here and see, okay, Stork is in the top right. And now you have to decide as Ruin what you want to do with your build, because this is something that I think, unless you play like a lot of Brood War, you might not realize is that cross spawns are so much further than close spawns on 4-player maps that any rush that you're trying to do, it gets there so much later that it really weakens it. So he is waiting for the 3 Zealots and moving out. And this is what you generally do with that double gateway opener. And he still has the probe here. He definitely wants to keep this alive. He actually takes a kind of significant amount of damage. And Stork passes him with the probe and sees the Zealots. So I think Stork is going to be able to hold this off without too much problem. He's actually moving down the ramp immediately. And he sees that Ruin goes into the Nexus. Now, Ruin, like, is he going to go cannons with this? I think so. Yeah, we actually see the Forge being made now, so that makes sense. Now, the Zealots trying to run past. These are to keep Stork busy so that Ruin can set up his cannons and get that expansion mining. Now, Stork just microing his Dragoon heavily here, getting a lot of damage. I love that he runs out to meet these Zealots. And he actually sends this Zealot across because that's not going to take a lot of micro. And it forces Ruin to make more Zealots to block it. So really cool ideas and moves here from both sides. Now, Stork's micro looking strong. He's going to be able to pick off these Zealots. 2 of them die, and he's going to get this 3rd one. This just being focused upon probes doesn't get that much damage. But yeah, I think just the fact that this Zealot got in here and messed things up, like, I think, now I don't have this build order all the way, but I believe with Ruin, you want to get a couple cannons up immediately. And if you're forced to make some Zealots, that can be a little bit painful, right? Like, these, you don't want to make them right then. You want Stork's Zealots actually sitting back and dealing with yours. But he's microing this around heavily. He's making him lose mining time. The 2nd Zealot comes down to fight while 2 Dragoons walk over. It's only a single cannon, so as the 3rd Dragoon comes up, he can definitely bust this really quickly. The Cybernetics core not done yet. Okay, he starts the 2nd cannon now. 2 cannons? I don't know if you're going to attack into that, but against 1, absolutely. Okay, here he comes, and Ruin knows he's in some trouble here. The Zealot's coming down, but now Stork, having busted that cannon, can do heavy micro here against these Zealots. He's going to be able to pick those off. This cannon not yet warped in. Stork sending another Dragoon across the map right now. Some great micro from Stork. Keeps his Dragoons alive. Probe's coming out to fight. Can he kill this cannon off? Gonna try to dive upon it. Now, he does have one very damaged Dragoon. He actually goes up and surrounds that with the probes. Keeps his cannon alive at 2 health somehow, some way. But it will get picked off, of course, with his range upgrade out. Gonna pelt down this cannon. The Zealots being right-clicked onto the Dragoons. One of them chasing the very hurt one. The other one trying to damage the ones that were targeting his cannons. He's got to get those cannons up. Stork's micro, though, looking very strong. That Zealot running off. Another Dragoon coming down while he makes his Nexus. Robotics facility on the way. Maybe going to go into some Reaver tech if he needs it. Kills off that middle cannon. That means he can peg this top one without fear of reprisal from the bottom cannon. And it feels like Stork is starting to overwhelm. Ruin in some serious trouble. He definitely does not have range. He's going to DT tech, which is kind of predictable. And Stork is just busting everything down. I tell you what, I think Stork made some amazing decisions and backed it up with just solid execution this game. It wasn't the most magnificent micro, but he knew what he had to do, and he basically did it perfectly. You can see the Zealots that pop out are not able to do it. He's not able to get enough cannons up on time. This Dragoon pops out to kill that very red one, but of course then he loses this full health Dragoon, and Stork continues to put that damage out. Look at this. He can kill off the cannon that supports both the cannons. He can kill off this cannon, and that's it. GG. You know what? Let's go directly into game number 2. So directly into game number 2 we go. That was a quick one. I liked how modern and neat Ruin's build was, but Stork was just too on top of the proper way to deal with it. You know, sending his Zealot in to buy time to force Zealots instead of getting the couple cannons up, rallying his goons down immediately after killing the Zealots, which, by the way, he went out to meet so he could micro the entire way on that they walked back to his base. It was just great execution from Stork overall. You can really see the big brainedness of his play. While it might not have been perfect Dragoon micro or perfect Zealot micro, you know, a big percentage of micro is knowing what needs to be done and what your tolerance for error is, I guess. Like, do you need to have full health Dragoons? Nah. All you need to do is kill the Zealot as quickly as possible, get across the map, and deny cannons. Anyways, greatly done from Stork, who is here in the top right of Ringing Bloom. Now, Ruin, he is on the brink of defeat. This is the round of 6. This is the decider match. So, if he loses this game or the next, he is out of here. And he's had a pretty decent tournament so far, to be honest. He beat Soma already in the tournament and everything. You know, he's in the round of 16. It's really not bad. We'll see where he can get to. Taking a look, you see the Overmind cocoons here. Of course, Ringing Bloom we've talked about a lot. There's been a lot of casts on this map since it was active in ASL. It's been active in CasterMuse's stuff. It's on the ladder, all that. This is just for, you know, sunken colonies to be made if you need it. There's eggs on the ramp to make the ramp a little bit smaller, that you can clear it later on. Of course, you can clear the cocoons as well. And of course, you have that back natural over here. Maps like this, in my opinion, give very good Protoss versus Protoss games. Any map where you kind of can take your natural while defending a ramp as opposed to defending low, like flat ground, makes PvP really cool and interesting. And let me say that a bit more, right? So say you take this as your base. This is generally the third base on this map. You have all this flat ground area, and that's normal. Normally you go from a main down a ramp into your expansion. The problem is you can attack into here very easily with Dragoons, with Reavers, with things like that. Whereas attacking up a ramp is nearly impossible at any point in the game. It's just so tough. The defender's advantage is really, really strong. So basically any map like this where you can take an expansion and defend a ramp, Protoss can jump up the tech tree. They don't have to worry about Reaver pushes. Obviously, things like Reaver drops are still really strong. Sometimes we see very strong containment strategies at the bottom of the ramp. That can be really good. But it gets you, like, past the volatility of the early game. You can expand and tech and get your macro really going, where, yeah, it's not so much about the opening build orders or something. You're not just going to catch someone most of the time on a map like this. Definitely, if you want to see a bunch of good PvPs, go check out the ASL seasons that had Transistor in them. Those were fantastic, Protoss versus Protoss. I love PvP on that map. Anyways, here we go. It's really starting to pick up a little bit as they're both expanding quickly. A couple Zealots sent from Ruin up to try to harass the workers. You see his probe is still here as well. A couple probe hits and a couple Zealot hits kill a probe. So that's what he's going for. He wants to two-shot things. Great micro there from Stork, drilling on top of this Zealot. He already kills the other one with his Zealots. And he is actually losing a fair amount of workers. Look at that. A 5-worker lead right now for Ruin. So this, I guess this paid off. Now, he did end up losing some Zealots. He took a lot of damage there. Now there's a 3-Zealot counterattack coming in. So there's the possibility that Stork can counterpunch and do some significant damage because the Zealots no longer exist. We'll take a look at that and see if that's going to be the case, see how that's going to work out. Ruin, though, honestly, with a couple Zealots already out, a Dragoon that's going to be popping out as they get there, and this Zealot walking back, healing up his shields, I don't think Stork can actually get any damage done. If he just pushes up here, and you see, that's why these eggs are here, so that you can actually sit defensively on your ramp. Now, let's see if he actually gets up into position. Okay, comes down. Gonna go ahead and fight. Some good targeting there from Stork. Trying to target down the injured Zealots as quickly as possible. Yeah, very good micro from Stork. You can see he's already killed 2 Zealots off. Almost gets this 3rd one, but it will be microed heavily from Ruin. But I can't imagine these 2 Zealots going to do that much, right? We'll keep track of exactly how much damage gets done. But let's check on the tech. Looks like, oh, double offensive pylon here. Kind of cool to see. Ruin continuing to try to ruin the economy of Stork. Oh, he actually gets... Whoa! He got 3 more probe kills with that Zealot. That's insane. Wow, really well done. You can see the difference here. 29 to 27. He was actually down quite a bit more than that, but the 3 Zealots end up doing all right. I think that Ruin maybe didn't micro nearly as well as Stork did when he got attacked. Either way, Ruin has hiccuped Stork at least a little bit. Stork, though, getting back in line with his pro production. He has his range upgrade coming. Robo facility coming down, Senka Gateway as well. We've had the Senka Gate for a while with Ruin, but having additional Dragoons is not always going to be something that helps. But we actually see that Ruin looks like he's going to go for an all-in here. The fact that he's going 4 gates makes me think, yeah, look at this. Okay, so he's making a couple Zealots. He's making 4 Zealots, and now a Robo? So I think the plan here from Ruin, with 4 gates that quickly before his tech, he knows that you're very likely to tech up more quickly on this map. And you can see that, right? It was like gate, robo, gate for Stork. So he doesn't have nearly as many units. But as the 4 Zealots come, you push with the Zealots up the ramp and the Dragoons come behind. Zealots have a higher DPS than Dragoons. They will beat them if the Dragoons aren't microing. So the Zealots, the idea is you push the Dragoons away from the ramp with them and they tank a bunch of damage. And then your Dragoons go up the ramp. And while these Dragoons try to dodge these Zealots and micro heavily, you micro these Dragoons to target theirs down. So that's the thought process here. Ruin going to be doing a very strong attack. Notice how he leaves just 3 goons here to pick off the probe. He doesn't want Stork to see the amount of units he has, because as soon as Stork sees this, he's going to know exactly what's up. Okay, the Observer popping out. Stork actually with a very healthy Dragoon count of 8. We only have 5 up in the forward position. Okay, he's bringing 4 more. So he's going to have 9 and 4 Zealots against 8, but we're going to have 2 more popping out mid-battle. So let's see what Ruin can get done with this build that's very tricky and kind of surprising. All right, here we go. He's going to push up with those Zealots. Here go the Zealots first. He actually gets one of his Dragoons kind of in the way. That one's going to be picked off very, very quickly. A probe drill coming out of Stork right now. he's actually not really microing his units all that well, to be honest. Okay, now his probes are blocking a lot of the units coming up. He is taking a lot of damage from the Zealots, but he's really focusing on targeting down Dragoons. You can kill Zealots with a very small amount of Dragoons, but the opposing Dragoons, if he has more, you're gonna be in trouble with that. Now, the probes get some surrounds. They deal a ton of extra damage here. And at the end of the day, the probe count is actually equal on both sides, but Ruin's starting to push with more. The probes have to come back. 4 gates are here for Stork now. He's going to be popping out a few more. Some of these Dragoons of Ruin are heavily damaged. Those are going to be targeted down first. The probes getting a surround. No, just barely, not microing out, but not getting shots off with this Dragoon. That's important as well. He's microing it so heavily that he's actually not putting damage out with it. So the probe defense is kind of working. And now that Stork has 4 gates, he's going to have 4 units popping as the next 4 come up from Ruin, which means that this is just about held. Now, this was an important scout as well. He sees the Templar Archives finishing up for Stork, still pushing in, trying to get something done with his Dragoons. But you know what? He has a lot of intel now. He loses one of the Dragoons, pushing back, recovering, or rather covering the retreat of this Dragoon, and more units come up. He actually makes a couple more Zealots, which tells us he wants to try that push again. But if we have continued production out of these gates, I don't think Stork is going to die to this anymore. Cannon coming up. All right, the Zealots get in here. That's a lot of Dragoons for Stork. I don't think that he's going to get anything done. I think he needs to just leave, honestly. Yeah, he's going to back out. He does force a cancel on the cannon, which is kind of nice. Or it kills the cannon, rather. And they die so quickly while warping in. Over on this side for Ruin, taking a look at his tech. He has that Reaver tech. He has shuttle speed on the way. A Reaver starting now. Adding additional gates. Throwing down some cannons. But a DT drop going to be coming in from Stork. Puts a single DT into this shuttle. Going to send it across the map. What do we have for detection? We do have the observatory, a cannon going up here, a cannon going up here. Seems like he's fine. I can't imagine this DT drop really doing anything. Where did that shuttle go? Oh, no? Here it is. Here it is. Okay, so the single DT. I mean, it still makes sense to go over and see if you can get something done. Like, maybe he sees this probe. Wouldn't mind him picking that off even. Like, slowing down any possible third bases. You know, just dealing with things on the map. But he's going to poke in over here. Once you see the single cannon, you can't really drop. The cannon will beat the DT. But, you know, it's worth checking. And now the DT can kind of keep tabs on the map. Like, you know, kill this probe over here. Don't let it expand somewhere. Just make the map a darker, scarier place for your opponent. Okay, taking a look at their actual strategies now. Here we go. Coming in with that speed shuttle and the Reaver drop. Oh, my God. This could be a big one. Oh, okay, he gets 3 right there, gets another 1 or 2 right there, as well as the cannon. And the shuttle got picked off from the high ground from Stork when we were watching those scarabs. So it gets dealt with pretty darn well. Now, that being said, Stork is very far behind on workers, 13 workers down. But he killed the Reaver, he killed the shuttle, and you know what? He has High Templars. Yeah, I mean, Storm is very good in Protoss versus Protoss. It's just not as explosive in the early game or as easy to get as Reavers. But once you actually get it, it's super, super good. So let's see how this engagement occurs. Ruin walking up in a line against an Arc, does pull back, realizes he can't do anything there. He has that Zealot speed upgrade, which is a very telling thing for Stork. He might want to back up here. Yeah. Once you see your opponent has Zealot speed, you know a lot of Zealots are coming out, and he doesn't have an anti-Zealot army here. He doesn't have his own speed. We don't have any Archons either. We don't have any Reavers. Psystorm does well against everything, basically. It's like the most powerful spell in the game, I guess. But, yeah, he doesn't really have the army he wants to fight against this. Now, more Reavers being made. Psystorm on the way right now for Ruin. Speed on the way for Stork. Stork recovering his probe economy. Obviously, Ruin hasn't really been making any more probes since that harassment, so he will get caught up as far as that economy goes. And Ruin moving into a position that's kind of containment. I don't think he can bust. I think if you tried to bust up this ramp, you would just die. Look at that. Double cannon, big spread. The eggs are in the way, making a choke point. You've got a bunch of Psy Storms there as well. Yeah, I don't think Ruin can do too much, but he takes his third Nexus. Would love to see him add a few probes here, get that economy a little bit bigger. And it looks like that is what he's doing, throwing down some cannons as well. And now they both have to be really careful of each other because speed drops with High Templars can just wreck a probe line so quickly. And that Psystorm upgrade almost done here for Ruin. Looks like he's going to pick up his other Reaver, though. Reaver's still useful at this stage of the game, but Psystorm is kind of a counter to Reavers. You just throw it down on the Reavers, and either the shuttle picks him up and takes massive damage, or the Reaver takes massive damage. Too slow to move out of it. Ruin right now moving up the map. Still a higher probe count. Think he has a bigger army, too. An Archon being added in for Stork. This is going to be a crazy battle. I'm trying to figure out who actually wins. We have more Storms for Stork, but we have a couple Reavers in here with a speed shuttle as well as Storms for Ruin. I feel like Ruin should hold this, right? He's up 13 workers and 13 supplies. So they actually have the exact same army supply. Yeah. Honestly, I'm not sure that Stork attacking in here would be any good. They even have the same upgrades. Stork is going to have +2 a little bit quicker, which is a pretty big difference. Continuing to pump out and send these down. Ruin gets supply blocked, actually. So missing his macro there for a moment. He's adding a bunch of pylons right now. Another gateway as well. Looks like we have about 10 gates producing against, let's see, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 gates. Okay, so very similar as far as the production goes. The supplies stay neck and neck. A DT mixed in, a couple observers in here. We do have an observer still. Okay, here we go. This is going to be big, guys. This is a huge army from Stork. He needs this to work because he is down a base. The Psystorms go down. Psystorms onto the Reaver, forcing them back right now. Redrops them out. A great storm goes down there as well. A hold position or something on here for... what? Oh my god, Stork is actually massacring his army. We see a few storms going down from Ruin, but getting absolutely throat punched here from Stork. Stork busting his way in, and I don't even... like, what? Stork crushing face. He is taking his Nexus during this time, continuing to rally down more units, and by killing this base and the army of Ruin, I think Ruin's pretty dead here. Like, look at this army of Stork with that +2 attack on all these Archons, still having a lot of Dragoons in there as well. This army does not beat that army. Stork, so powerful. Now Ruin, like, okay, let's look here. Ruin, okay, he's taking another Nexus over here, so if that doesn't get caught, that's good. That's really nice. But honestly, just the army he's making right now, I can't see it winning here. Look at this. The storms go down on top of High Templars of his opponent. A storm kills a High Templar, so very painful. Trying to bust out right now, but with this very Zealot heavy army, the Archons are going to come in and massacre everything. Moving forward with these Dragoons, maybe wanting to kill the Reaver, but doesn't get a shot off on it. That feels like that's the only thing we have going right now for Ruin, is the fact that he's still producing some Reavers. Well, I guess he's not producing anymore. He just has this one. And a Reaver can be really good. But Stork has taken some control here. He has his third base up. More High Templars coming down. His army value is just so high. He's up 34 army supply right now, which is a gigantic difference. Ruin does have his +2 attack. Stork with +3 just started. Oh, and Zealots split off to kill this Nexus. I was wondering what was going on there, but Stork pulls back, kills the Nexus. Just beautiful play. You can see the decision-making here from Stork, realizing, you know what? No reason to engage. Every moment that there's not an engagement, the further ahead Stork becomes because he is mining from this map. These Zealots can come up for a flank as well. Ruin, I think, realizing that he doesn't really have a shot this game. His economy's gone. He's mined out. He has to attack and win right now, or he is done. He is out of this tournament. Look at this. Stork coming up for the flank as his Zealots come in. Storm's going down on both sides, but that's it. GG. Stork advances, and Ruin is knocked out 2-0.